Welcome to the debate for the mayor of the city of Clinton. This debate is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of the Jackson area and the Clinton Chamber of Commerce. I am representing the League. Both organizations are nonpartisan. We neither support nor oppose any particular candidate or political party. However, we do urge citizens to take part in their government. Our local elections are so very important. City services touch us every day. The streets, water, fire, police, fire protection, parks and recreation, and more. On June 8th, voters will choose our city's leaders for the next 4 years. If you need information on your ward or polling place, you may go to the City of Clinton website, click on Find My Ward. The debates will be posted on the city's Facebook page. Today, we have two candidates for mayor of our fine city. I'd like to introduce the candidates left to right, Greg Cronin and Phil Fisher. Our moderator today is longtime Clintonian and news director at iHeartRadio, Randy Bell. Our timekeeper is Lee Marianne Everett. Videographer is Mark Jones, the City of Clinton Director of Communications. We thank the City of Clinton for allowing the use of this municipal courtroom. You'll note that we're using COVID safety protocol and have very few in the audience. For the debate format, we will give candidates 2 minutes each for opening and closing statements and to respond to questions that were prepared by a committee of the League and the Chamber. If a candidate wishes to respond to the other candidates' answers, they will be given another 1 minute each. A drawing was held a few minutes ago for the order. And now, let us begin. Randy, I'm turning it over to you.
All right, thanks, Kay. In that drawing, the decision was made that Phil Fisher, the incumbent, would have the first opening statement. So, Mayor, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Randy. The women voted for this opportunity. Kathy and I were married on May 29th, 1976, 2 weeks after we graduated from Mississippi State. We've raised 2 children. Brian, the oldest, who married me, we have 3 children, Mary Elizabeth, Haston, and Grant, and our daughter Dana, who married Andrew in Oxford. During my time here in the city of Clinton, I have worked diligently in a number of different areas. I retired and Gamble after 22 years of service. Retired now from First Methodist Church, where she was the director of day ministries. I spent 34 years in our military, 3 years active duty in the Marine Corps, and the balance of that in the National Guard, where I had the opportunity to go twice into the war on global terror, first in 2005-06, second in 2010-11. The second as a brigadier general, 43,000 soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, civilians, and civilian contractors. Senior low country. At a particular point, we managed more trucks in Afghanistan than Walmart has in the entire United States. We managed an airport the size of Jackson. Any other thing, if you fueled it, if you touched it, we delivered it. I've been an alderman for 4 times. I was elected twice as a supervisor, and now I'm asking for a 3rd term as your mayor. I'm very proud of the record that I have and the opportunity to talk about that record today. And I look forward to having that conversation with you. As I've said throughout my time as mayor, together we can do anything. I believe that then, and I believe that over the next 4 years. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Cronin, you have 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you so much. Once again, thank you to the volunteers, to the League of Women Voters, the Chamber, our city staff, and for Randy being here today to do this. I am Greg Cronin. I'm a 4th-generation Clintonian, a local businessman, and a former city alderman. I am seeking the next mayor of our city. I am married to my ever-supportive wife, Kimberly Cronin, and the father of 4 wonderful children. Drew and Ashley are here with us. I graduated Clinton High School in 1989, attended BYU's Marriott School of Business, graduating in 1996, and received an executive MBA from Millsaps College while wrapping up my corporate career with WorldCom in 2003.
Since then, I've enjoyed a successful run as a local entrepreneur, real estate broker, developer, and builder in the community. My respect for our city began with my great parents, also both from Clinton, who raised me along with the Clinton community to respect one another, to value faith in God, to appreciate the importance of family, and to understand the delicate nature of freedom. They instilled in me the importance of community involvement and a respect for service. Clinton is a unique community. It has been built from a firm foundation of 3 core principles that must be maintained in order to be safe, free, and pursue happiness. The first principle is that God inspired the Constitution and will bless our city as we acknowledge His hand in our civic lives. Secondly, we must welcome all who choose to live within city limits of Clinton as equals in our community. Third, we must be willing to work together collectively to attend to the social and civic needs of our community. By me as an independent mayor, we will be able to strengthen these core values, tapping into the talents of more, allowing us to pursue happiness that is awaiting us in Clinton. Thank you, our city.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cronin. And move on now to the questions. And for our candidates, that you have 2 minutes to respond to each question, and then up to a minute to take a follow-up after both candidates have spoken, if you wish to make a follow-up. So we'll start, since Mayor Fisher had the first opening statement, we'll give Mr. Cronin the first crack at the first question. And
Okay.
It has to do with priorities. It's a basic question. Candidate, if you're elected, what will be your priorities for the evening?
Well, first of all, the first priority is that I'll honor my oath to the Constitution. I'll respect all that live here in Clinton and approach me, desiring to be part of our civic process. Secondly is that I will meet and work with our existing department heads. We have a great group of people, and I understand that I respect them and I honor their professionalism and their ability to advise and to counsel in this great city and what we're currently doing. I will establish a great rapport with the board. I think it's essential that each person elected from the different parts of this community be heard, be accurate and necessary, and they can counsel where. I will open that to being a very important part of governance. Establishing a great rapport with the board is critical to elected them. Economic development is one of the key things. We'll establish a proactive process to match Clinton's abilities to perform the civic functions that are here for us collectively as a Clinton, as a town. My economic plan will actually use smart codes, will update the community's ordinances and such so that we can grow the way that people who are young and looking for active things within the community would like us to grow. We will involve them significantly. We will expand our recreation, our leisure opportunities, working with the city's mutual investment in recreation, private sector, with the many nonprofit associations that are out working to provide us the things that we need. I would create a culture of inclusion where everyone can do this to the community. It's important that this culture is everyone involved in making our city great. It is for us to be all together collectively to make these decisions so that we can be the city that we are potentially capable of becoming. Thank you.
Mayor Fisher, you have 2 minutes to talk about your should you.
Well, I invite you to review my page as you make this decision, and you have posted 7 areas representing 154 major accomplishments since I was mayor, since July of 2013. 154 are organized in 7 areas: city transparency, public safety, economic development, parks and recreation, infrastructure, history, and city promotion. Within each category, we accomplished the last 8 years and for the next 4 years. My priorities in the next 4 years, crime will remain my first and foremost priority. Moving from unranked the 3rd safest city in the state since July of 2013 has been a really challenging task. A Madison, which is 1 in the state, Richmond, nor Brandon is number 4 in the state, which is Pearl. We have a leaving and entering sign on our border with West Jackson, which is one of the leading murder capitals in America. Despite that, we have gone to third into the city. That's because and a priority of mine who promoting potential wide to encourage business growth. The hiring of an economic development director who travels all over the country. Investing in our quality of life by continuing park upgrades and extending walking trails, which are now under construction. Increasing our street paving budget from $1.2 million to $1.6 million of city dollars. And positioning our infrastructure in anticipation for future growth. I ask you to review my record and to re-elect me mayor of the city of Clinton. Together, we can do anything.
All right, thanks to both candidates for those statements, and it gives us some idea of your priorities. We're going to get a little more now on some of the issues that you've already talked about. And we'll start with the issue of development. For our city to thrive, I think you'll both agree that we need more businesses, more jobs to offer to citizens here. So we want to know what your strategy is for bringing more businesses and industry to Clinton, and what are the obstacles, and how would you overcome them? We'll start with Mayor Fisher.
When I came into office, I have an economic development director. Our budget was in such a shape that I took that position on myself on a part-time basis, and realizing that was not going to work out very well, we then came in and hired a full-time economic development director. This person has done an excellent job for our city. Let me just give you one example. A magazine, which is titled The Business Review, Civil and Municipal, a focus on economic development in global communities. It's printed in Canada. Clinton was picked up as one of the cities that it talks about. This is a great accomplishment for our little city to be one of these cities in this magazine. Business leaders all over the country read this magazine and take note of it. So this was a huge step for us. Bringing in gives us the opportunity to not only the local businesses that we'd like to see here, but national and international businesses. Businesses such as Google and Amazon, where we've already made visits and we've already gotten our name into. Using the modern technology of today to introduce ourselves to businesses far away so that we don't have to travel, but in fact can 3D goggles with our story so they can understand and they can look at that. Continental Tire. I was part of the negotiation of Continental Tire here. That 2,500 jobs not only presents an economic boom to our city, but it also gives us the opportunity to keep our hotels filled to 85% capacity. 1,000 new jobs in the industrial park. Recruit new business by use of economic development and push our city forward in the best light we possibly can. We've gained much ground, but we cannot slow down now. And I will continue to push it as a top priority to ensure Clintonians can work in high-paying, quality jobs in our.
Ms. Cronin, you have 2 minutes now in specific terms about economic development.
Well, economic development, Clinton has moved forward. We have different presses that we've recognized. I am grateful for all of those departments that have worked to bring forth the accomplishments which you have to date. I think that a lot of this is attributed to all of its citizens working together and producing Clinton to be what it is so that it does attract these types of businesses, these types of opportunities. Economic development is just having an economic developer. I think it's the community's efforts as a whole that create our economic vitality. One of the things is that in my vision, I see that as we look forward for economic solutions, we also need to look inward. I am the mayor of a community of residents who have talents, abilities, and would like to express those in our community. There are plenty of opportunities to work as local builders, developers, and those who have ideas and want to open businesses as small businesses. It's not that I won't work on large businesses. Those opportunities will come as a result of our community's ability to work together and to thrive as we, the city of Clinton, each have. I feel like the economic development position is vital. I think it's important to have someone focused there. It will remain. I think that lifestyle opportunities for young families and those who are coming here wanting to have entertainment, and opportunity will also be vital and will continue. I think most of the things that have been mentioned by Mayor Fisher at this point in time have been the collective results of Clinton itself. I think a lot of people who are owed the respect for those accomplishments. I think it's one of the opportunities right now to invest in our community, to get forums together, to actually look at the ways that we locally can have greater growth for our small businesses, for our residents. I think the walking trails, the biking trails, the tapping into the visitor center and all of the traffic that comes there, I think our interstate presence is vital. I think that our continental landing here and selecting Clinton has created a great opportunity for the larger businesses that will locate in our industrial park. Together, as a city, our city, we can work and have everyone here thriving and contributing to the economic vitality of this town. Thank you.
Mayor Fisher, up to a minute for a follow-up.
Well, I think that my actions spoken very loudly, making the decision to bring on an economic development director, giving him leeway to do the job that he needs to do, and working forward with him in an effort to businesses. I think that we are there. I think that things are going well there, and I look forward to a very bright future. Another area, though, is quality of life. We are 20 years behind on building walking trails. We started that process. As I speak today, the walking trail is being built along Drive from Traceway Park to the Natchez Trace Bridge. Also behind the schools. That trail system will continue in South Clinton as it goes down Clinton Raymond Road and also goes down Spring Ridge Road, and then it will also continue along. These are quality of life issues that people who live in our community are looking for them.
And Mr. Cronin, any final thoughts on economic development?
Yes, I think that our idea of being behind in our quality of life and things of that nature with walking trails and things like that's been going on for quite a while. And we are behind. We should not be. I think that the ability to see ahead and to look to that and organize the community to make those things readily available is something that could have happened. The community, we had the people in Clinton, we have the of Clinton, we have the know-how to do many things if we can but organize and bring people together in consensus. There's a relationship that we can have between all of our existing city assets, our communities, people who are business leaders, and those nonprofit associations that are out there that can work together to only bring forth greater economic development at a faster rate if we can but include more people within the community in that process. I look forward to being who can invite all as an independent candidate to the office to work on ways in which we can build upon not only what's been successful, but need to operate at a much faster rate in the economic development area. Thank you.
Let's turn our attention now to public safety. In light of national concerns and crises, policing has been facing what could be described as heightened challenges in how they protect and serve a community. We're asking you, what do you see as the challenges faced by the Clinton Police Department? And we'll start with Mr. Cronin.
Well, our national scene with relations to policing and crime and things of that nature is definitely there. We do have borders with West Jackson neighbors who, is mentioned as a situation that is negative, that is a challenge. I believe that our local police department, the police chief, Fort Heyman, his abilities, his knowledge on how to police, the legacy we have with police chiefs we've had in the past, necessary, and have performed an excellent job in this area of preventing crime in Clinton, Mississippi. As an independent community, we must be if we are going to pursue happiness. I don't have any intentions at this time to altering or changing anything about our current police department. I have met with Fort Heyman, Chief Heyman. I'm extremely pleased with his knowledge, with his ability to lead, and what I will look to do is only be a further investing opportunity for the department to have everything that they may need with his direction that can allow them to not only be able to police but to be better individuals that are trained in the area of criminal justice, the knowledge of the nature of crime overall, so that they can be better equipped to, be prepared for this new era of policing, that people seem to look at a policeman as somebody that, is this question. And I look at a policeman as an extreme value, an essential component of safety, as the person that needs to be respected, valued, appreciated, and given all the resources and training necessary to keep us safe. I have enjoyed that all through my life. That will continue. Our police department will be unaffected and will continue to have all the needs that they have met so that we will continue to be the safest cities in Clinton. Thank you so much.
Mayor Fisher, up to 2 minutes to talk about public safety challenges.
Well, Mr. Cronin's compliments on the police department that I built. When I took office in July 2013, the police had 40 slots with 35 officers. My first action was to add 5 new police officer slots and increase pay for the younger officers. Today, we stand at 63 police officers with 59 slots, and 3 of those officers are school resource officers. Each officer has an automatically activated body camera, an automobile, and a rifle provided by the citizens of Clinton, a fundraising effort that I organized. With the additional officers, we've been able to to develop a patrolling and a traffic division. So instead of one officer doing both functions, we have different officers doing those different functions. We raised money and built a Clinton Fire Department pistol range. No expense to the city budget, designed to show our officers, to allow our officers to fire whenever they choose to fire, and also to qualify here in town. I advocated for a full-time judge. Had a little controversy on that one, but that position allows us to increase the process from crime to crime, and it streamlines it and makes it more consistent. I introduced a building swap that took a year. Mr. Cronin should remember he sat on the board during that time and opposed it initially before he came. And that building to Highway 80 to one of the most crime and one of the most heavy business areas that we have in town, and opened 2 businesses up here for economic development. Despite our location to West Jackson, despite the fact that we don't have a buffer, these steps reduced our crime in the city since 2013 by 68%. That is a significant number of safety in this city, and it keeps us the 3rd safest city in our state for the 3rd year in a row.
Mr. Cronin, follow up on public safety.
Yes, I also appreciate the fact that I brought up our commitment to public safety, because the first 4 years of the mayor's last 8 years, I was sitting on the Board of Aldermen. I was assisting in setting priority, and yes, I did have that discussion about locating a police department on that side of town, and I was grateful that we do have one there. I think it's an effective opportunity for people to see coming down 80 that we have a presence. So there's often, and very often, more to the story when there's references to our voting records and discussions as a Board of Aldermen. But at this point, the thing I want to let everyone know that's viewing this video is that we have an excellent police chief, an excellent fire chief, and excellent departments that will have my utmost respect, support. I will learn and understand their needs, and I will help them to present that to the Board of Aldermen so that it will always be prioritized and we will always be safe enough to pursue happiness in Clinton, Mississippi. Thank you.
Mayor Fisher, a follow-up?
You know, I think that people in our city like to know that they can walk the streets safely, they can leave their homes and know they won't be burglarized while they're gone. And I think that opportunity is afforded now in our city. In the next 4 years, my plan is to grow our police department to 70 officers. The needs of the society that we live in now and the situations that develop require more officers. It requires active and passive policing methods that help us catch criminals and catch those whose intent is to do wrong in this city. I'm very proud of that record, and I'm very pleased with our police officers and the jobs that they do, the sacrifices that they make, and the efforts that they make on a daily basis to keep us all safe. So I look forward to adding to our police department, increasing our active and passive measures, and making our city a much safer place in the future.
Thank you. And during the opening statements, we heard some talk about infrastructure in the city of Clinton. Certainly that's a major issue for all of the citizens, and the city has a responsibility to provide safe and adequate infrastructure, including, of course, streets, bridges, sewer, water, and even internet access. It's expected that federal dollars will become available for infrastructure projects. So we want to know what your plan of action would be applying for and using this funding? We'll start with Mayor Fisher.
Infrastructure has been a priority in this city. When I came into office, we had $0 in our paving budget. When I left in 2008, we had $500,000. So the first priority was to start building that fund, and we did so at $100 a year. I worked with the legislature, with a few other mayors and the Speaker of the House. They passed legislation that allowed our city to receive $672,000. Adding that $100,000 a year over the last 6 years, plus that $672,000, has increased our street paving budget from city funds only to $1.2 million. I want to continue to increase that from city funds to $1.6 million over the next 4 years. In addition to that, we have spent $2,242,000 of resources from the state and the county to pave streets. So over the 6-year period, we spent a total of $7,394,000 in paving streets. In addition, another $10,940,000 has been spent on infrastructure projects ranging from bridge reconstruction, street reconstruction, and water tank repairs, all from city, county, and state resources. All total, since 2013, our city has spent $16,092,985 on infrastructure. So this is a great thing that our city has grown in, and we need to continue to grow in. And I believe that we will. You ask about internet. 84.7% of our city has internet capabilities, high-speed internet capabilities to the home. The money from the government that's coming, Clinton's $5.5 million, we'll receive in 2 increments of 2 years, and I plan to use that to construct the sewer system upgrades out at Lovett.
Mr. Cronin, talk to us a little bit about infrastructure and how you look at funding sources and projects.
Well, in order of priority, we have safety and then we have infrastructure in order to pursue happiness. Infrastructure is a vital issue for the city of Clinton. It must always be maintained. Infrastructure is the core assignment to the city and the Board of Aldermen. It's the part of the job that should just be and something that we attend to at all times. Once again, being part of the first 4 years of the administration currently, I helped in setting those priorities. I agreed with those priorities that infrastructure should be very important and that there should be a plan for it. I actually have an argument that we could have had more sooner, but that's okay. At this point, the $5.5 million that I do know is slated to come to Clinton, I think that there are opportunities to, one, look also at the sewer capacity so that we can encourage further development, more home starts, that we can also look at the long-needed 3-laning of North Side, further on, 4-laning possibly with some additional turn lane areas, and to, 4-lane North Side, and then also to look at Pine Haven and the continued growth out North Side, Pine Haven. I think we need to plan out 5-10 years and look at this opportunity to set the path for where we're going to be and where we're going to grow. So infrastructure is important. It should be something that we attend to. It's a collective effort and set priorities by a Board of Aldermen. It's not one person who determines that those things will occur. I will maintain extremely good relationships and openness to our county and to our state officials. I will have an eye on where there are opportunities for the community to receive beneficial funds that we can further make sure that we always remain with great water, with adequate sewer, and that we have the modality both for pedestrian, for walking ways, and that we also are ready for the future of our energy efficient, all the things with like the electric cars, the different things coming. I will look ahead at that. That's future technology we need to have as a part of our infrastructure plan. I look forward to this and make our city a wonderful place with a great infrastructure.
Follow-up?
All the things just mentioned are already in progress. 5-cell technology has come to Clinton. That refers to the electric cars. The $5.5 million can only, at this point, can only be used either for internet connection or sewer. We're hoping another amount of money will come down that can be used for streets and in that area. But right now, it can only be used for sewer. Another area, though, that's important is LED lighting, street lighting in our city. I know I am in the discussions right now with the Public Service Commission about rent we pay on poles and the rent that we pay on the lighting accoutrements that go with those poles in an effort to save the city between $120,000 and $180,000. But in addition to that, we have 1,822 lights that we need to convert to LED. And I have worked an agreement that with Energy that they will waive the $32.65 cost for that, saving the city $59,215. In other words, the cost for complete conversion on all street lights to LED will be zero to the city. And that's a process now that we're beginning to meet on in order to organize a plan and get those types of things together. The next priority for, if our federal government does pass a transportation plan and starts sending money to the states again so that we can divide that up. I've spoken about my relationships with the state, the county. I'm very proud of the fact that since 2013, I brought $17 million of state and federal and county monies into this city. Our city budget runs between $15 and $17 million. So in effect, I brought that $17 million in. In effect, that equals a ninth budget over these 8 years for the infrastructural repairs that we all need.
Mr. Cronin, some final thoughts on infrastructure?
Infrastructure, once again, is vital. It is the core function of the mayor and the city alderman to see that infrastructure is maintained. I do have a comment, and that is on the people who are actually performing the duties of our infrastructure. Public Works Department, all of those that work there, their ability to have the tools, the things they need, and to establish a morale within that department that will enable them to go out and feel as though they are part of this city and its vital infrastructure and its maintenance, and to be respected and to be honored for that will be very important to me. I think as a leader, as a mayor, I'm responsible for a staff and a community that the community has invested in that should be excited to go to work, should be happy, should be able to perform their functions readily each day and to be effective at their job. I think that I can bring that joy to their everyday life and still accomplish the needs of infrastructure. The remainder of the infrastructure will be handled as the opportunities arise. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, as we continue on with our questions, we want to draw some attention to a recent meeting of the Chamber of Commerce in which Dr. Tim Martin, the Clinton Public Schools Superintendent, stated that students in our school system speak 26 different languages. We acknowledge that Clinton is a diverse city. The question is, how would you ensure that the views of all of our citizens are considered and their needs are met? And we'll start with Mr. Cronin.
My being an independent candidate is definitely a starting point. The world around us has become a rather divided entity. We have many who belong to different parties and who have hurdles to overcome just to begin the process of working together. I think by setting the stage of being an independent candidate, that I can welcome all people to the table to discuss things that might be solutions, that we can benefit from different cultures, different people who've come into our community, and that we can seek solutions as a group. I think this consensus building and the empowerment of the people to be more involved in the civic space is where our secret power really is. Our history has been a community full of Clinton people getting along, working together, and solving their social and civic needs as a community, not as the government providing it for a community. I think that this can continue, but I think this is an opportunity for me to allow Clinton to elect an independent leader that can be true to the mission of including all who have a good point to share and good input into the civic process. So I think that's one of the biggest things, is the openness and the willingness to listen and to welcome everyone. The other way that we can be inclusive is that we can continue to offer different services that are accommodating to the different people that live within our community and not be narrowly providing services. We can expand the options for recreation. We can expand the options for entertainment. We can do those things which allow us to reach out and to satisfy the need for all those that live in Clinton to find happiness here in this community, in our safe and independent community. Thank you.
Mayor Fisher, talk to us a little bit about diversity.
Clinton has been known as a giant in education, producing students ready to succeed since the 1970s. As you know, from preschool to PhD, education here is second to none in America. But in today's world, Clinton has got to do more than just be a one-legged stool. As part of that process, I organized a group of people called Clinton Next. This group met. It was a slice of the community from different organizations, different races, both genders, people with varying interests, and we all met in a series of meetings and then went to Tupelo. I took 15 people with me to Tupelo to go on a trip there and to see how they have been so successful in their regional and nationwide recruiting. From that Clinton Next organization, which is designed to take Clinton to 2050, I've been able to use that to budget in that direction, and it was one of the leading factors in the hiring of an economic development director. The You Belong Here campaign has been very inclusive in our community, and I'm very proud of the diversity that we have on our boards now and the diversity on our appointed boards, and we now are starting to have more diversity on our elected boards. And I think that's a great thing to do. I think expanding the parks, Robinson Park, for example, is undergoing a rebuild, a complete rebuild. And in that rebuild is going to be an adult exercise area. Again, bringing senior adults in so that they can exercise there and they have something in the park system for them. That park was planned by a community effort of citizens who live near that park in order to allow the most input that we can. The same was allowed at Lions Club Park. The same was done at Old Town Park. The same was done at the Bart Park. Involving people is something that I've been doing for 8 years in order to get the biggest and best bang for our buck in Clinton as we move forward.
Mr. Cronin, follow up?
Yes, and to speak specifically to part of that question about diversity and education to that community, I think that it's really a non-issue in the sense that anyone has a concern in Clinton as to diversity being an issue. We host and welcome the open people who choose to live in this community. We follow that attitude. We have a good job of that. And as we move forward and we work together as a community, we accomplish many wonderful and great ways to embrace all the different people that live within this community. It's not about a central plan that I have. It's about the plan that I receive, that I will welcome, we will massage, we'll work together, and I will use my years of experience of collaboration and working with people to bring about wonderful, different opportunities for everyone in Clinton to be and to feel as though they have purpose and meaning in Clinton, Mississippi. Thank you.
Sure, you have up to a minute for some additional comments.
Well, as I said, we're the third, I think our numbers show us to be we have the third highest population of Asians in the state. We have, I'm sure the census when it comes out will show a wonderful swash of diversity in people in our state. We have people from the Indian community, the African American community, the white community. We all get along. Everything seems to run smoothly. As I've been out talking to folks, they've been thanking me for the safety, and they've been thanking me for economic development and infrastructure. And it doesn't matter who's standing at the door. The interests are all the same here. I think people in Clinton get it. They understand what Clinton is trying to be and what they want Clinton to be. And I think because we do involve as many people as possible, we still have that wide swath of information that can come and can be used to make these decisions.
One issue that affects people across the city, but especially in some parts of the city, and that is drainage. There are drainage problems in some parts of Clinton. What is the city's role in addressing these problems, and what more can be done by the city? Mayor?
The city does have some drainage problems, but the first thing that we have to understand is there are private property laws that prevent us from working on some of these drainage problems. These problems have existed since Mayor Blass was in office, Mayor Howell was in office, Mayor Smith, Mayor Altman, myself. If they could have been fixed legally, they would have been fixed. No one enjoys telling anyone that we cannot help them with their problem. But our hands are tied with private property laws that restrict what we can do. So when I show up on a site and there's an issue, the first thing I'm looking for is public property endangered. If public property is endangered and the private landowner benefits from this, then this is something that we can help them with. But if there's no public property endangered, then there's nothing that we can do. It's a matter of law. We would have to vote on it. Those who vote in favor of it, if during the audit it was found to be illegal, then those board members voting yes would have to pay for it out of their own pocket. And that's the defense mechanism that the state set up to prevent what used to go on in the past of burying people without charge or delivering free gravel and those sorts of things. So it's kind of a very difficult situation when you see these. Since I've been a member of the city's legislative part, when I was an alderman, we passed legislation that required any new development to have a water flow that does not exceed or does not allow more water flow on downstream property than it was before that property was built. In parking lots and other ditches and other areas being built to slow that water down as best as we possibly can. But that's the effort those are our main drawbacks that we have with drainage, and it's just speaking the truth and telling you what we can and can't do.
Mr. Cronin, what more could the city do to address drainage problems?
You know, it's funny. I was meeting with the Mayor Raymond for a moment, and she said the one thing you're going to learn is it's dogs and ditches and drainage. She goes, you're going to get calls all the time. And it is true. As Ward 4 Alderman for 4 years, I attended to the same questions. And a lot of what the mayor has shared is an accurate statement of our opportunity to actually provide direct assistance as the community within the laws provided. There are opportunities in how we address people who have the issues. We know that there are a number of these issues. I think that coordinating a community forum or people who have a common interest need to specifically work on an area of drainage. We don't have any limitations on facilitating a potential solution by the private sector, and giving them the aid and assistance of counsel, and to providing a better answer to people whenever the drainage issue is there, because the community is not aware of those details of the law necessarily. So it's our job as representatives to express that. But we also have the advantage of understanding what potential solutions they may seek and provide them at least a place in which they could turn. I think that that's part of what community citizens are looking for from their government, is sometimes just simply direction as to how they could attend to something in a reasonable way. And to do that, I think, is perfectly acceptable as a community. It takes time, it takes patience, but I think it's worth it. I think also that the development nature of how to develop smartly as communities evolve, I think that we do have ways today to better mitigate future problems with drainage as we monitor how things are developed. As a realtor, I deal with this when we try to sell homes that have drainage issues. As a developer, I understand the need to plan properly. I understand that the engineering needs to be appropriate. And then at that point, we can do our best to mitigate the problem moving forward. But I think solutions to the community and explanations of opportunities for them to resolve their issues is a reasonable respect of us. I hope that we can provide that to the community. Thank you so much.
Mayor, you want to respond to that?
Well, I think that gets into an issue of transparency. And I've been very transparent throughout my time in office. I have quarterly meetings with the city, and one of those meetings that I had discussed drainage and the issues that we have, explaining what our limitations are, being realistic and honest with people, what we can do and this is what we can't do. Trying to explain that in a ditch running in your backyard, half the ditch belongs to the person on one side and the other half belongs to the other. We are working a number of issues in town that we've been able to tie to the city to city property as being endangered, and we've been able to help a lot of people, and we will continue to do that at every opportunity that we possibly have. But sometimes, it's tough to have to say no to some people because there's just our hands are tied and there's just nothing that we can do.
Mr. Cronin, final thoughts on drainage?
Actually, at this point, with regards specifically drainage, I just recognize that we do have issues that are from the past that are affecting our residents throughout the community. And if we can help there be a community forum, something that we can just assist them in having options to work on their drainage issues and having a plan in place that they can actually interact as citizens to try to mitigate their issues is probably the direction that I would look to see if we could be equipped with, as well as of course we can and do within the law. But I think there is room for community involvement there. I think that we can work on it together as a city, but formally as the city, bringing their staff, personnel, our equipment, there are laws. We will abide by those. I will abide by those. And we'll do our best to mitigate any drainage issues moving forward and have smart planning as we move forward with our future development and growth that we expect to have here in Clinton over the next few years.
Let's talk a little more now about quality of life issues in Clinton. The city certainly invests in services to add to citizens' quality of life in order to attract and maintain its residents. Those services include certainly parks and recreation, Main Street Clinton, the Wood Activity and Therapeutic Center, and the Natchez Trace Visitor Center. So I want to know from you two candidates, what would you do to support, change, or improve these programs? Mr. Cronin?
Well, first of all, support. We have a fabulous, Main Street that has provided many different quality of life activities and has worked the founding of that with Rosemary and with Tara Idle and their commitment to that and continued dedication to hosting and to having the community together and to not only do it in the sense of entertaining, but in economic development responsibilities is fabulous. Marcia at the Visitor Center, it's not staffed by what you would expect to be a city employee. It is a professional employee that has the ability to host and welcome people from all over the country that come down the Natchez Trace into our community. She is doing a wonderful job there, okay? And we have the different opportunities as we move forward in the areas of our parks and recreation. And we've always talked about the same thing, about a bigger park, baseball, softball, soccer. We've had some additive stuff. The senior center has offered some things for seniors. But what I'm looking for is the next bigger impact. I look at children and say, where are you going to become a gymnast? Where are you going to become a world-class competitor in Olympics? Where are you going to learn how to swim and be on a swim team in a big swim meet? Where are the larger facilities of quality of life issues that we're losing children and our families to outside of this community? How do they become part of our community? I think that there's a room here to take our existing infrastructure of public partners, working with the business community, the private sector, and creating a private-public partnership arrangement to bring greater facilities to the community, that which will train youth, will help each of our residents more fit and healthy and have a quality of life issue that is a combination balance between private, public, and the nonprofit community. Together, we can build some amazing things. I think we should go ahead and get started.
Mayor Fisher, your thoughts on these quality of life?
When the issue asked for my priorities, and one of those was investing in our quality of life by continued grades and extending walking trails. As I said earlier, the walking trails are already underway. These are the first steps to what I'm calling a spine, I guess, going through town of 15.2 miles of trails. It was from the north part of the city all the way to the city limit. Now, it's going to take another 4 years to complete, but then that spine will start coming in from the neighborhoods. That will be completed over a longer period of time. But this type of is an example of a quality of life that people want, that I've always effort to get that momentum going for us. The creation of an archery range. This is something that's different in our town that no other city has. This archery range was built under the watchful eyes of the state archery organization to make sure that it could be for city and college level events. Mississippi College joined us in that effort. It was as a joint effort to make that happen. I think that talking to people at Clinton Next, the ideas that we had and the thoughts that we had brought about a lot of quality of issue items that we all need to be cognizant of. Positioning our infrastructure, for example, for future growth, and keeping our city safe are two that really came out strong. If you're afraid to go outside, you're not going to have very much of a quality of life. issues that I've been working on and will continue to work on over the next 4 years. And I look forward to making our city a better place as we move forward.
Mr. Cronin, follow up.
Once again, it's my slogan, it's on the sign. It says, "It's our city." We've been doing a very good job. We've been doing what we can to use our publicly, invested dollars to complement our quality of life issues. What I'm looking forward to are those that live within this town, this city, who come forward with amazing ideas and receive the ultimate support of encouragement from the city government, the ability to pull together forums of those that are in nonprofit associations, those who are willing and would like to invest private capital in our community, and doing the next best things that we're looking to do that will attract young families, that will give them something to do along that walkway, that pathway, and that spine, but will actually look at every child, every adult, and say, what have we done in the last 4 years to improve quality of life so that they are now happier then than they are today? My job is, how do we pursue happiness together? Thank you.
Mayor Fisher, final thoughts on quality of life?
Well, I think quality of life is also part of the volunteer spirit. And Marcia in the center was mentioned. She has about 100 volunteers that work there. These are people who've dedicated themselves to this idea. Main Street, they have, who knows how many volunteers Main Street has, probably about 70 or 80. Our Clinton baseball, softball, soccer, and football associations, they have hundreds of volunteers. Myself, I have volunteered to do things. When I was elected in 2013, I started taking the asphalt off of Monroe Street to bring that street back. In 2017, I started killing all the grass at Spring Ridge, at the Spring Ridge intersection, to bring that intersection back and to make it a pretty place for our city, to make it an attractive place for people to go. So the opportunity for volunteerism exists, continues to exist, and always has existed in our city. And I look forward to people continuing to work with our city as they have in the past.
Let's spend a little bit of time talking about, and it's, again, an issue that you've touched on briefly in some of your previous remarks, but transparency in government. There certainly are laws that require governmental entities to have open meetings and open records so that citizens know and understand the actions of their government. So if elected or re-elected, what would you do to improve communications, public education, and transparency for the citizens of Clinton? Mayor Fisher, we'll start with you.
This very format is an idea that I asked the League of Women Voters to take up. I didn't take it, I was organizing it, but I called Kate in January and said, I don't like the formats we've been using in the past. People don't have a chance to see the candidates debate in a time convenient for them. Can we do this? Would you moderate it? And then we'll put it on our city webpage. So that's one example. Another example is in 2013, September, we started streaming all the meetings of the board. For the first 4 years, I was on the MC radio station every month talking issues, and when that radio station closed, I went to a quarterly meeting with the citizens of Clinton on germane topics that I believe to be important for people to know about, and then give them the opportunity to ask me questions. We have an interactive web page right now where we had a PDF web page when I came into office. On there is an Ask the Mayor. And I get questions every day, all 7 days of the week, asking me about things people are interested in. I strive to answer those questions with that very same day, and if not, at least tell them that I'm working on a solution. The minutes of our city have been posted on our web page going back to 1920. We introduced Board Sync program to better allow transparency of our city minutes. The city agenda is now posted on the web page. I started the weekly email blast. That email blast is to inform people of events that are going on in the city. Our city calendar has all of the events in the city from the schools, from the city, and from the college on it, so you can go to one place and you can find out everything that's going on in the city. We placed that viewer on there so people didn't have to come to the city to check tax parcels, our ordinances, our land use map, and our comprehensive plan, and put that on our web page.
Mr. Cronin, 2 minutes, talk about transparency in government.
Thank you. During my first time as the alderman for the first 4 years of this current administration, I also supported that we make these opportunities for people to witness and to see and to tune in and to be part of community government. I'm open for that. I don't tend to retract or bring back any of that openness and that transparency in the form of the way in which we can be transparent in communicating things. That's definitely a plus. But I think there's another layer of transparency. I think there's a transparency between the city's actions and what's going on internally, between the mayor, the CEO of the city, and the board coming in and actually looking to make decisions and to set priorities and to make the decisions which we will operate and prioritize by. I think that often as we have been together, there's been information that has been difficult to obtain. I think that in order to actually run a city, I need to provide complete and better transparency to all of the sitting aldermen. Let them know exactly what's going on within our community, and then I should receive back from them the transparency and request that they actually provide the information regarding each of their areas of the community in detail. I think that that help back and forth between the mayor and those sitting aldermen will be an area where we can improve even beyond what we've gotten. Opportunity to set good priorities, attend to all of our community from border to border, and that with that ability to have that content be exchanged and be open and be more readily available in a format that the alderman can read, understand, and make effectively from is an area of transparency that also is extremely important. I hope to be transparent with the Board of Aldermen completely, give them the opportunity to know and understand what we're voting on each time and to receive their opinions and to provide them that opportunity, representatives of each part of the city in which they are elected to be. Thank you very much.
Mayor Fisher, follow-up.
As Mr. Cronin stated, he did sit on the board for 4 years. And I'm the recipient of every piece of information I have. If I have it, I send it to the Board of Aldermen. They don't come into a meeting unaware of anything or any information germane to that particular before they vote. I was an alderman. I was times as an alderman. I know what they want to see. I wanted that information also, and they have that information. Aldermen also have the opportunity to respond back to me if they choose. They can come by the office. They can, if they make a decision not to come by, that's on them. It's not on me. If I have it, the aldermen have it. I send emails out to them than I do anyone else to keep them abreast of everything going on in the city in an effort to keep everybody as well informed as possible. You don't read it, you don't open it, or you choose to ignore it, that's on you. That's not on me.
No, I just want to make a commitment publicly that if people attend or within our meetings or we're working with our board and we're operating as a council together, that I will have done my best to make a succinct, knowledgeable understanding, bring people, not just the entirety of the budget, but to break it down and to prepare it for a board as an executive of a company would prepare it so that they're ready. I will give them plenty of time. I'll take the patience necessary for all of them to be heard. I know that this has been a concern in the past for me and for some others, but I just want to make sure that everyone hearing this will understand that that is something that I am tracking. I understand that importance. I know my role within the city as I am part of our city. I am basically responsible to making sure that we operate as a council, a board of aldermen, and that together we make decisions so that we can not only be where we are today, but excel even further and that great happiness available here in Clinton. We have a wonderful framework, a wonderful city. It's our city. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. And we move on now to closing statements. Each candidate will have up to 2 minutes for that, and we will start with Mayor Fisher.
I've always believed that for Clinton to excel, we must be different from our surrounding cities. Establish ourselves as a go-to place and market that difference. The schools have always been one of those separations better, but we must separate ourselves in other ways also. Hosting 3 Hollywood movie companies, filming in Clinton, and 5 makes us different. Parks, biking and walking trails, an archery range, hosting professional bicycle races separates us from cities. Becoming an economic powerhouse with Continental Tire's 2,500 jobs and an additional 1,000 jobs in our industrial separates us from other cities. Being ranked as the third safest city in the state for the last 3 years makes us different from other cities. A fire rating reduction from a 5 to a 4 makes us different from other cities. Gaining relationships at the county, state, federal level resulting in $17 million for infrastructure and recreation makes us different from other cities. Spending $7,300,000 in street paving in the last 6 years makes us different. I invite you to review my webpage as you make your voting decision in the general primary. I have posted 7 areas representing 154 major accomplishments: city transparency, public safety, economic development, parks and recreation, infrastructure, economic development, and city promotion. Within each category, I speak to the accomplishments over the last 8 years in the next 4. To repeat my priorities: protecting our city from crime, promoting our city's economic potential, investing in our quality of life, investing in our street budget, and positioning our infrastructure for anticipated growth. I ask you to review the record and to vote to re-elect Phil Fisher on June the 8th. Together, we can do anything.
Mr. Cronin, your closing statement.
Thank you very much, Randy Bell, and thank you for all of you tuning in. This is the first step in the responsible voting process, is taking the time to get to know the candidates. You have an opportunity to choose between the two of us. I welcome you to make sure that you show up and vote. That's the first step. Together, we will actually be the community that we want to. The future of Clinton is amazing history. We will be more united than ever. The American ideal will be alive and well. Our city will be welcoming to all who responsibly seek a place to be safe, independent, and gain access to an excellent education and business environment where they can pursue happiness. I will work in concert with the Board of Aldermen to see that safety, police and fire, and infrastructure, roads and technology across the entire community are compromised. They're all to allow us to focus more on the attention of our pursuit of happiness and our quality of life. Our excellence department and fire departments will continue as is. Public Works will have the support needed to avoid any future issues of lack of planned expansions and the funding for planned maintenance that they need so badly. Main Street and the Chamber will continue to serve as the heart of our commerce and entertainment across the commercial areas of our city, and we will expand their expertise throughout our community. All neighborhoods represented. It is our city. This will ring true all across this great town. I am Greg Cronin. I invite each of you to review more about me on my website, the videos that will be available. Check out my background, my history as you feel fit, but know one thing, I love this town. I am from this town. It is a community that has raised me, given me and my family the quality of life that is unmatched by many communities throughout this great town. Here, America's dream is alive and well. We will prosper together. We will be independent, and we will accomplish many great and wonderful things. This is our city. Thank you.
All right, thanks to both of our candidates for mayor, Greg Cronin and Phil Fisher. Back over to Kate.
Thank you, candidates. You have given us a